So, welcome to Summit Session number 15. My name is Danielle. I'm the Marketing Director here at Adventure Nannies, and we are so happy to have you here with us. The views expressed today are solely those of the guest and do not necessarily represent the views of Adventure Nannies. Today, we'll be talking about leading with emotional intelligence. I'm thrilled to share a bit more about our wonderful presenter, Crystal Trowbridge, founder of Nanny Uprise. As a lifelong coach, Crystal finds joy in helping others identify areas of growth by igniting their inner leader. Since founding Nanny Uprise in January 2020, she has used her coaching skills to lead many current and aspiring nannies through a journey of self-worth and development. She loves spending time in the mountains, scoping out local places to do Pilates, and walking her pup Apollo. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Please join me in welcoming Crystal.
Hi, everyone. So first off, I want to say thank you for being here. And I would probably give you a huge hug if we were next to each other, every single one of you. I'm a big people person. So I'm sending you a virtual hug. Let's just say that. Today is a big celebration, and it marks the 122nd year of the birth of a really special human being. Should I admit this person? Okay, you got it. So 122 years ago today, a baby girl was born. And she was an extreme game changer, let's just say that. And she taught us how to fly. And because of that, I thought it was appropriate to read one of my favorite speeches from 1910, Theodore Roosevelt, The Man in the Arena. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. I have lived my life in an arena of my own. Amelia Earhart was born 122 years ago today, and her legacy will always live on. My name is Crystal Trowbridge, and I'm the founder of Nanny Uprise. I ignite the leader within you so you can fly. I genuinely believe in every ounce of my body that emotional intelligence is the key to change. And my gut won't let me do anything else. And I hope that in this next hour, you will be my rock, my patience, someone that supports me in doing something that's scary, vulnerable. And that's what I promised myself, is that no matter what happens in my journey of entrepreneurship and emotional intelligence and coaching and all of this, that someone must lead by example, no matter how hard it is. And so we must show the children and not tell the children. And this phrase I found the other day is very powerful, okay? So children cannot be what they cannot see. And I repeat it, children cannot be what they cannot see. So right now, if you're here, I want you to let me know in the comments, okay? I want you to interact with me. The more you interact, the less scary it feels over here. So I want you to imagine a sport that you did. I lost camera here. So a sport that you were part of, anything when you were young, right? Soccer, basketball, anything, right? Can you imagine saying, hey, go play soccer, go do this? And I'm losing my camera. We're gonna get switch cameras. So I'm losing, let's see. We're gonna switch. So bear with me. All right, imagine basketball, okay? Can you imagine saying, go play basketball, be the greatest you can be and believe in yourself, but never, ever understanding or seeing that? And so, Danielle, can you imagine that? And that's the thing, is that I played basketball my entire life, but I watched basketball my entire life. And so how are children supposed to grow up and believe in themselves when 99% of the time we doubt ourselves and we're our own worst critic? And I know all of you guys can feel it. And as I was preparing for this journey of mine, and I chose Uprise for a reason. And so this is the point of believing in ourselves is by far the hardest point of all of it, right? And so we're going to do an exercise right now, okay? And through this hour, I'm not going to tell you normal definitions, okay? I'm not going to tell you anything that Google can tell you, because we're going to build our emotional intelligence throughout this time. Because if you know a bit about the brain or social emotional learning, it's in your gut. Words cannot tell you these things, right? And so I did a little drawing. Now, keep in mind, I'm gonna actually have to adjust this since my camera went out. And that's another factor that emotional intelligence does give you, right? The ability to adapt on the fly and be okay with it. And I kind of anticipated some tech issues. Now, even if I prepare for it, even if I prep for it for 10 years, I always anticipate and expect the unexpected. And that's the part of not letting your emotions get the best of you. And so during this time period, we're going to go over all of this, okay? Now, bear with me. And behind me, now we did do a tech run too. Now, anyone that knows me, I see some of my coaching clients in here, that tech is my worst enemy. So as I go through this, let me know if you can see it. Can you see this? Okay, we're literally going to move the camera. So can you read this? And it's a little sideways. So we're going to go drop it down. So, nope, hold on. I know this is like, what is going on? But I've learned to bear with the weirdness. Is this backwards or can you see it? Okay. Now we're going to start a situation where I want you to remember a problem that a family told you in your nanny families, right? You're going after a job, and I can imagine 1,000 of them that I had went through in my career search, right? You walk into a home, or they say, can you do this? Can you do this? They have 1,000 problems. We all do, right? And a lot of them we ignore and deny, but they're there. So there are steps, okay? 3 steps, still a little far away. So here's where I want you to look at this, okay? And the equal sign on this side, right? Problem gone. Now, how many times do we say, okay, we do it and it's gone? Rarely ever, right? And so I'm going to show you why nothing ever actually changes in life. Now, when I learned this, when I actually figured this out, that nothing was ever going to change until we figured out the star, I took a full year. I left my job. I did everything to figure out what we actually needed, the star right here. So the family tells you a full problem, and you say, all right, I can solve it. Now, if you're standing in your chair, wherever you're at, I want you to listen in. If you believe that you are a problem solver, now for me, I'm a puzzle wizard with full-blown proud. Like, I'm more than proud of my puzzle wizardry, okay? Now, if you are a problem solver, I want you to raise your hand. Every single one of you, I want you to raise your hand if you're a problem solver, okay? All right. Now, earlier when I was going over it, and it's like, I get a sly smile on my, it's like, man, I am problem wizard. I solve them all, okay? And so here's the thing, is that we get a problem and we solve it. But what if it's not the right problem? And how many times are like, oh man, we just spent a year on something that wasn't the right problem. And it happens all the time. And so something comes before that. Finding the problem. If you know anyone that complains, nags, and just picks at you and is like, what about this? What about this? And finds the problem. Now before I dove into this last year, I can tell you so many people that annoyed me, okay? And we all learn lessons, okay? And this is where I admit I'm wrong all the time. I'm wrong all the time, guys. And you know how proud I am to say that I love apologizing when I'm wrong, because I know that I learned from that. Okay. And I cannot grow or get to the next step or be a better person until I get to that point. So thank gosh I did. Right. And so if you know someone or you or yourself are a problem finder, and right now, all of your cameras are off. Okay. And if you are a proud or even problem finder in any area of your life, raise your hand. I'm going to raise my hand too. A lot of people used to get really annoyed with me. Right. And so I am a proud problem finder. Okay. But I'm going to look right now. Oh, it is. Okay. So if anyone has any idea, okay, and if you're a problem finder, I'm super excited to tell you, you're not crazy. Well, you are crazy, and that is a good thing, okay? Crazy is a huge spectrum, and you should embrace it, okay? So I'm normalizing the word crazy, which is a good thing. So if anyone has any idea, this key star, right? What should we even look at before finding the problem? And let me know in the chat, or even turn on your mic. This is interactive. And I had no idea. I was just intuitively doing it for my entire life. And I'm going to tell you why, because I want to hear you. I know there are some people here, and I'm going to call some Anne I know here, Cindy, Chandra. And here's the thing: it's just that I don't ever if my gut tells me something, I go with it. Like, man, I can't let it go because I know I can help them. So, because they're trying to solve the wrong problem and going in circles. It's an endless toxic circle that they'll never get out of if they don't understand this. And it's really hard for them to ever have any relationship thrive, because emotional intelligence is every part of relationship. And so I decided, all the statistics I could give you, I decided to not, because I wanted to target your emotions. So this star, once you get to the star, I solve problems and never have let them come back. Not only am I a problem solver, I'm a problem finder. And here, the star here, it is because I start with a human being. You have to understand people. You have to understand the person and the personality at hand, the behavior, okay? And this is where it's so wild, because in this last year, I realized that we're all empaths, right? I hear that word all the time. That means you're in tune with the other person's behavior, right? That means you have the power to feel emotion. Right? You can be on that level. But here's the obstacle with all of this, is that you can't control it. It's that when you have the star, you have the ability to influence. Right? Emotional intelligence, it's very in-depth, and they stack on top of one another. You have the ability to say, okay, I'm going to put this wall up, and I'm going to be the energy shifter instead of drowner, right? And that's the thing, is I didn't start understanding my emotions until I pretty much crumbled. Until the last thing put me overboard when I turned 20, and even with my dad this morning, he admitted to me that he had bottled everything up. Like, really? Like, no wonder I was until I was 20. And I grew up with really extreme mental health issues in my home, because I didn't even know how to deal with them. I didn't even talk till I was 4, but neither did Einstein. So this is the point of, you really have to understand the person's behavior and what energies are affecting it, or you never have a chance of solving the problem for good. And I'm saying this with all my heart, that I never had a chance in my past relationship. I had tried, and I wanted them to love me so much, right? But I didn't really understand the energy. I felt it, and I thought I was doing it right, but I wasn't. And so you have to understand people and the energy beforehand. It's really important, okay? And when I figured this all out, it was almost as if I won the Nobel Prize in my personal heart, because I then realized that I can help people and I can create that change. You know, and it's something that I want to share with you. And with social emotional learning, we do it with the children all the time, guys. And I hear even leaders in the industry, I'll comment on their stuff. And here's the obstacle here is I'll say something and then they'll confirm it, but with the children. And let me say this again. Children cannot be what they cannot see. So I'm going to take 1 minute and turn off my camera, okay? What we're gonna do is if you haven't got a pen, piece of paper, and I want you to get 4 colors if you have them. And keep in mind, I just sprang this on you. So I understand that. So this is being recorded. You can come back to it, okay? So a pen and piece of paper, if you have it. I'm just gonna show you a piece of paper, okay? And 4 colors, okay? Orange, red, blue, green, okay? I'm gonna turn off my camera and I want you, for 1 minute, think about one word to describe your feelings. One word. And if it's a little more than 1 minute, bear with me, okay? You guys have to be laughing at me because anyone of my clients, they're like, Crystal, how do you not know your tech yet? All right, how's everyone doing? Let me know in the chat. And once you have your word, I know there's a few people that are listening. And so what I want to do now is have you guys write down your word, just one word, okay? All right, I did switch my camera and we'll see how this goes, okay? So what we are going to do is we're going to work through the 4 aspects of emotional intelligence. And after, we talk about the one word. So I need happy, okay? Now share, I'm gonna need a little more than 1, guys. And as I was changing, I wanted to really think about my word. And I'll share with you, anxious, okay? I felt, no, one thing that came to my mind was relieved. And embracing your emotions can be really hard. Now, a lot of the times we lie to ourselves, okay? No, no one's even listening but ourselves, right? No one but us, okay? And so what I wanted to say is that one statistic is that the main emotional intelligence book, it's called EQ 2.0. They studied 500,000 people over the last 10 years, okay? What happened is that they studied how accurate their emotions were in the moment over 500,000 people in a decade. Only 36% of the people were able to accurately identify how they felt. Now, if we as leaders are unable to do that, how in the world can we show the children to do that? And let's reference back to that basketball part, okay? How can we do that? If no, children cannot be what they cannot see, okay? And so what we're gonna do now is go over the 4 aspects of emotional intelligence. So the first thing you really wanna do with emotional intelligence is define it, right? We're gonna go back. We don't know what the real problem in life is, right? Well, I'm not gonna take it for granted. I wanna find the right problem. So to find the right problem, we have to define it. And that problem is, okay, a lot of us are confused about our emotions, right? And so that comes down to self-awareness, right? Self-awareness. And the reason why self-awareness is the first step is because often we get so confused about what is going on and why it really matters. And as I mentioned earlier, the empath situation, and it's a common pattern in our industry is that we can feel, but we still miss those components, the energy systems, right? And what I do is people skills. So we're going to talk about what aspects of emotional intelligence, and I'll bring you closer in just a second, but recognizing the right emotion with, recognizing the right emotion in the moment. So let me know if any of you have ever used the emotional wheel. It's an emotional wheel with a couple levels going inwards. And what it tells you is it relates emotions with words, okay? And I use it in every single one of my homes. I even print it out and put it on my wall, okay? I'm gonna give you real, things you can actually use. And I still use it and I'm 31 years old. And so these are things that I would have liked to show my father this morning. And as I grow my emotional intelligence and develop it, I realize that labeling my emotions allows me to accelerate out of that hole. And I don't have to stay in that depth of the hole and dislike it and feel those and go in an endless circle. So emotional awareness and labeling. So we're gonna go labeling, okay? Accurately labeling your emotions. Now, if I'm scared or I'm fearful, I'm not going to project it outwards, right? I'm not gonna be mean. And then we're gonna talk about, to do that, we have to know where we're at. And with anything, we have to know our strengths and weaknesses, right? If you don't know your strengths and weaknesses, well, you're in denial. And that right there means that you can't build anything else because you're already falling off the balance beam, okay? And can you imagine any of the Olympians not knowing their strengths and weaknesses? There's no way they could get there. No way. And so awareness and acknowledging it. And I've realized no matter how awful I feel, and I decided to lead with vulnerability today. And at the end, I'll tell you why. And know how hard it was to decide to do this, even today. And because having the ability to always have power over my emotions, it is something that I always have my back and I can always help, right? And always get myself up, right? So self-awareness, I want you now to take 1 minute to now write down what is your strength and what is your weakness. And I was just gonna beg you not to lie to yourself, but no, people change at their own pace, you know, and change doesn't occur until you're ready and until you have that energy around you that understands. Okay, and I'm gonna be fully honest, is that I can now confidently say that I can be in any environment, no matter how shitty and I'm gonna dislike it and create my own bubble and say, no, I'm not gonna respond to that, no matter how much, even family. And that is the most powerful, successful feeling I can have. And can you imagine that for your own life? And that is why emotional intelligence has been my key factor in my career, in networking. And I genuinely hope it for even 2% of the people I touch. I mean, it's the most powerful skill you can have. Okay, so strength and weakness, write it down and really think about it. I will be back. Okay, how is everyone doing? You know, if I ask you to do it, I guess I better do it myself, huh? So my strength is emotional intelligence and having the ability to see people, ignite something that they didn't even know was in them, right? And so my weakness is, I haven't addressed my weakness in the last few months, but I will tell you what my weakness was before the past few months. Is that when things got so emotionally heavy with family, my mom's getting her leg amputated and these things, I wasn't able to puzzle my work. I was family assistant and I did all these things and I did them in my head. I became a puzzle wizard. I didn't even need anything. I color code things. I do all of that. But when I get so emotionally intelligent, that those things do not come second nature to me like they normally do. And so I realized that, and I had to admit it when I really felt it in my work. And I said, you know what? And I said straight to the mom boss, I said, I've recognized that this is a pattern. How I will address it is when I notice myself getting emotionally heavy, what I'm going to do is make sure that I write everything down. Will you help me do this? If you notice this in me. And we work as a team. And that's the point, is that the children need to see us like this. And how can you imagine if the children didn't feel any of your shitty feelings that you feel as a grown-up? I can't even imagine, right? And because it's painful, and I don't want that on anyone. And so this is why I know it's what I'm meant to do. So let's talk about self-management now. My logo is orange, okay? And the reason it's orange, and I don't even love the color orange, I don't, but it stands for energy, optimism. And it really says that you can manage yourself, and it starts with you. And everyone's like, well, what's the first step for your, that you do with your clients? I said, I'll stand in the mirror, because that's where it starts. And I've learned that you need energy, optimism, but it often, orange is an obnoxious color. And so obnoxious is also something that you can rein in and you utilize as your powerful energizer, okay? And so as I go through this, I want you to note things when you notice them, okay? That's the awareness. That is the first step, okay? So they build on top of each other. And this is why Google can't teach you these things. So here we go, my orange, self-management. Now, because my text dropped, I missed my notes, but we're gonna do it from head anyways. So if you are self-management and you don't have a grasp on your emotions, you can be impulsive. Now, all of my impulses led me to a lot of failures, okay? A lot of self-critic, right? But guess what? I learned to get back up fast. I learned to create that tribe around me, right? So what we're gonna do here is harness them, right? So, 1 second. And I've realized that even when I start to feel anxiety, so right now, I'm gonna call myself out because even when I feel this anxiety, I take a step back and I say, okay, I'm not going to go any further down. I'm gonna take a pause and say, hey, it's okay. I'm going to pause for a moment and work through it with you guys because I don't want to ask you guys to do anything that I haven't done or won't do in front of you, okay? And you see these speakers and it's like, well, how did you even get there? Like, well, I'm going to show you because I'm going to show you and not tell you how I do this. And I've taken thousands of videos over my last year and a half, and I mean thousands, okay? And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you being here with me, okay? And because I had to change my camera, I had to make some adjustments. And what I tell my clients and even my friends, I coach men, women, of all kinds, okay? And you can change your mind at any time, any place, anywhere. And it's okay. And it depends on who you have around you. And it tells a lot about your friends. So what we're gonna do now is talk about self-regulation. And as I talked about self-control, or impulses, we're gonna talk self-control, okay? I teach you control because growing up, I was hunting, fishing, and understanding my surroundings at about 2 or 3. My dad was taking me out in the woods and understanding survival. And so it's not easy for me to see things that people try to ignore, okay? Now we're gonna talk about trustworthiness. And my word of the year is trust. And at first it was a hard one for me. But I realized it was trust of myself that no matter what, I can get on this call even with you guys today and trust, and no matter how much I make mistakes, that I can say, okay, let's work through it together. And that is huge. And I realized that I can't make a mistake. And having you lead by example, that's big, right? And so we're gonna trust ourselves, okay? You know, we are in the self category. We're on the top, we're on self, okay? What we're gonna do now is responsibility. Now, this is a big one, guys. Responsibility. Can you imagine if everyone took responsibility for their own actions? It would be wild. No blame. And it's just saying, okay, I take responsibility for my own actions. So we're gonna do adaptability. We're gonna adapt. And as you're watching me adapt, I'm showing you that it's okay. And it's about the people that you're trusting with yourself. And if you are trying to step out of your comfort zone and the people around you are no longer being there for you or open to that, maybe reflect on it. Go back over here and reflect on it, okay? Because think about who you really want to help you thrive in life. And are they really your friend? Because every person in my life, my coaching clients, they know if they ask, or anyone, it's a yes, I'll help. And no matter what. And so Adaptability and innovate. And this is a major one as to why I'm orange. Okay, innovate. Innovation does not happen in the comfort zone. It's outside of it. If you think about all the big names in the world, they aren't comfy. And it happens when you're pushing, but you have people around you that are also pushing. And that's why group coaching is so essential. Okay. So I want you to think right now, one way you could adapt in your life, right? And just take 1 minute. Okay, we're going to do this again. 1 minute. I want you to see how you could adapt. Write it down. Okay. And I really believe that if you have the right people in your life, you'll see how powerful this can be. Okay. How's everyone doing? All right. So on the top, let's recap. Your self, okay, the top is self-awareness, self-management, right? And we're learning how we can use our emotions as our skill, as our power, and not let it control our emotions, decisions, problem solving. And I'd like for you to think for just a second on a moment in your life where, like, man, my emotions got the best of me. And like, shake your head, because I know you've all had those moments. And maybe I have more than you. I don't know. Maybe I do. But I've learned that I use them as my skill now. Is that Madison? I think it is. So
Yes, sorry.
I don't know if she's saying, but Madison is one of the ones that I coach, and I love her. So thank you for showing your face. Anyone, please show your face and interact if you want to. I'm very open and would love to meet you, see you, and get to know you. Okay, so what we're doing now is talking about awareness, self-management. And here is where you think you'd have a handle on yourself, right? If you can do all of these things. And there are different areas of emotional intelligence in different structures, okay? And some have five components, and some have 4, okay? And I'm going to talk about, there's a kind of a gray area. And I touched on the gray area, okay? And that gray area is motivation. Can you imagine if you can motivate yourself all the time, no matter what it is? And so that's an intrinsic motivation. How do you get the kids to really eat their vegetables? How do you get the kids to do the laundry, do this? But that is where we go back to the formula, okay? The formula. Okay. So the star, okay? And please feel free to call me out at any time and stop me. Okay? The star, when you understand intrinsic motivation and how someone works, you can set them up for success, okay? And yourself. Motivation. Motivation is this middle ground. My bachelor's degree is in nutrition. I learned how people think, why someone would want to dive into food or use it as something that no one wants to feel like that. You know, no one wants to get down or be overweight or anything like that, right? But they use it as a mechanism. And so there's a gray area. And just like children, every child, every person ticks differently, right? And for me, it's not money, it's change, it's touching someone, right? And so it's like dogs, some like treats, some are prey driven, right? And so talk about social awareness. This is also where empathy is at. Now, if you're an empath or you consider yourself an empath, I want you to let me know in the chat, okay? Or raise your hand. And if you're watching this after the math, I expect you to play along too. Even comment in the chat and let me know, okay? I want to know if this is resonating with you. Empath, okay? So what I'm going to tell you about empaths, and I mentioned it earlier, is that you feel the other person's emotion, right? And if you felt anything that I said in this last 30 minutes, you can understand how it could affect you. Any of my decisions moving forward, right? And so what we're going to do now is talk about you're sensing their emotions. And when you have all of these, you have the ability to put out this block and this bubble and say, no, step back and breathe, right? So then you have service orientation, right? And all of us have this service mindset, right? And that's not a problem for any of us. I don't think, anyways. And here's another one: developing others. Developing others. Now, all three of these, you can probably confirm that we do all of these, right? And leveraging diversity. Now, when we want to bring something new in, when we want to try a new path, we think about different pathways. We try different new things, right? And that's diversity, okay? And political awareness, that's one of these two. And I'm not going to write these down because these ones I want you to think about. I want you to write new things down. And I'm going to put diversity. I'm awful at spelling, and I'm okay with that. And I'm acknowledging that. And it's all right. So here we go. Social, okay? And think about social. Can you think about a time in your life where someone's very social, but has no idea who they are? Because I can. And I want you to think about someone in your life, someone on social media, someone you really think is a jackass and doesn't really have a sense of who they are. And so they're seeking attention, but maybe in the wrong way. And so I often resonate with them because in this past year with Nannies, I wasn't really resonating with them for a while, okay? And it took me a little learning, and it took me a little adjusting and failing at first. And the name calling and all these things, I wiped it off my shoulders and got back up. And here's the thing is that I had these, and I understand these, and I have this. And it's not as if you conquer them, right? It's just ever going. It's evolving, just like us. We're always growing. In the moment you say you conquer anything, you're done. You already fell off because it's always evolving. It's always moving. Time never stops. And so I want you to think about your social awareness and on a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, and really give yourself a solid number. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Well, I think I'm getting faster, but 30 seconds to a minute. Okay, we are now on the fourth aspect and pillar. And I'm going to, and see, you see how well I adapt in the moment? It's quite fun. Now, here we go. What we're gonna do is give myself a little patience first. So I'm going to first ask you to note what you've noticed in this hour with me, what you have noticed me trying to do with you. Now, there's no wrong answer because anyone that knows me knows that I'm a puzzle wizard and do things very behind the scenes, okay? And I unconsciously influence. And influence is the same kind of as manipulate. In the word manipulate, I want to work on creating a stronger, positive tone with the word manipulate because it doesn't always have to be bad. So you may have noticed that, grab black instead of blue, that I have been changing my shirt. I'm not quite sure how fast you realized it, but I have been working to influence your behavior this entire time. Now, I started off with a pink shirt. Pink references caregiving. I appreciated you. And this fourth, I'm wearing blue for trust. And it is the highest form of emotional intelligence. People that work with relationship management, they're influencers. People look up to them and follow them into dark alleyways, no matter what, right? And if you're here with me today, or even ask a friend, if I say, hey, will you go with me? They don't ask me where, they say yes. Because whether it's in the mountains, whatever it is, they may hesitate, like, oh, damn, let's buckle up. But they know I have their back no matter what, okay? So you trust. Oop, that's green. Let's see how many trials. Here we go, blue. Trust is blue. Now, I want you to think about a company that uses the word blue or uses the color blue, and they're known for being rock solid. And you would use them no matter what. And you don't waver from them, okay? Trust. Now it's getting a little big. Trust, okay? And so they influence you, right? And so what this is about, okay, is I'm gonna just take this out now because I just really wanted to show you my ability as a coach to use more of my body language and things that normally we don't see, okay? And the highest form of emotional intelligence comes from the top performers, right? And 90% of the top performers are not CEOs. And 90% of the top performers have a high emotional intelligence. They make more money, better relationships, networking, connections. And anyone that knows me knows that I can have a conversation at any time, anywhere, any place, on a drop of a dime. And people that influence and create change, people trust them. And this is where it's important that the people we put at the top nowadays, that we can trust. And trust was given within the first 7 seconds. And in the first 7 seconds, I appreciated you. I sent you a virtual hug, working to lower your guards. And so communication is an aspect of relationship management. If the children grow up seeing that the caregiver and the parents are not communicating, that would be very difficult for our world to change. Then anything is anything, right? We have to communicate. And not even with words. Now, I'm very open with who I am with the families I work for, with the people I coach. And often, it starts way before they ever meet me, ever get on here. And what it is I'm very direct, open, and honest, but always I lead with love. And I want all of you guys to know who I am, and you guys matter to me. Every person that has been a part of my life, part of my journey, and have supported me, they can call me at any time. And whatever the question is, it's yes. Because if I cannot do it, I can help you direct or wherever, I may not have that skill, but I appreciate you asking and working towards the right direction. And relationship management is seeing the people. Right? Emotional intelligence is a key factor to everything. And so thank you for being here. And I wanted to bring something different to the table today. I wanted to be vulnerable with you. And truthfully, at one point I was scared and it was terrifying to put my heart out there. Because in this past week, I wasn't sure if I was going to have to put my dog down. My mom's having an amputation and all of these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm just going to have to reschedule. And that's the thing, is that no, I have honed my emotional intelligence for so long that I can control them. That is the power. And I utilize them and have a network of so many people around the globe. And it doesn't matter how much they make, billionaires, millionaires, gardeners, it doesn't even matter. It's that we trust ourselves and believe in ourselves. And I say I ignite the leader in you because I've had many of my clients say it back to me. And it's almost magical. And I get chills every time. And so I hope that you go back through this video and really take some time, look into it. And I didn't want to give you any definitions because how many resources do we have, guys? And it's not the reading words that will help you, it's the action. And so self-awareness, acknowledging is the first step, okay? And they work on top of each other. And if you're unable to get your real emotion, right, and acknowledge the right emotion, you can't build on the others, right? And so that is the first step. I'm going to ask a couple questions, okay, of where you can start. And if Danielle could read or type these maybe, and I know Anne's in here too, maybe that could do the trick. So I'm gonna mention a couple steps on how to improve, and then I'm gonna drink water, and then I'm gonna drop 6 questions on how to actually really reflect and move forward, okay? So the first step is stop and pause, okay? The moment you realize that you want to change your life or adjust or you're not happy, stop, time out, okay? That's all. And it can be for 2 seconds in this very moment, okay? And that's it. Question your thoughts is number 2. I started to question my thoughts for as long as I remember because what I was seeing I didn't like. And so what I trust is energy. I trust body language. I trust communication, energy, okay? And not hocus pocus or any, I just trust my feeling and my gut, okay? And your gut doesn't lie to you. And so whenever it talks to you, be curious about it. And not to say you have to follow it, but look into it and journal about it. And journal is self-awareness, okay? And that's the key to all of this. Now, I find that I journaled for a very long time. And then I decided to video journal. And that was a whole different aspect. Oh, I hate to even admit this. Because I was hearing myself and I would call myself out in the video. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to trust myself. It's my own video. I'm saying, guys. And so I started a video journal when I realized I was going to leave my job and change the world. But how I knew I had to create this video aspect that all the big leaders do. And so that was a game changer for me. So I promised myself 2 minutes a day of video journaling. That's it, okay? And so whether it's writing it down, whatever it is, even right now, I promise myself, if I don't want to do it, that's okay, 1 minute, that's it, okay? And so step 1, stop and pause, that's it. 2, question your thoughts. 3, do inner work. And no one has to even know about it, okay? But know that I'm proud of you, okay? It's not easy. So questions to ask yourself, because that's the hardest part. It's like, well, how do I start? Even if the journal is open and it's blank. So I want you to ask yourself some questions. Number one, how do I react when I feel misunderstood or criticized? Two, if I'm going too fast, I will retype them and send them to you. How do I react when someone diminishes the reality of how I feel? Three, how often do I need to be right and want others to agree with me? How often oh, that's funny. Four, how do I feel? How did I feel as a child when parents denied my reality, emotions, and opinions or ideas? This one's so big. So think about this in our work, okay? How often are we like, oh, no, that's not how they really feel. They're not really angry. And I want to tell you this really insane story is that I was watching teenage boys in one of the first weeks that I was working in my last family, 11 and 13. And the parents were in Florida. And the 11-year-old wakes up, doesn't want to go to school, scared out of his mind. And I knew he wasn't lying. I knew it in my gut. And he's like, it was out of character for his behavior. And his mom's like, nah. I called her and I said, something doesn't feel right. And okay, so something doesn't feel right. Here's the thing, is that I followed my gut. Come to find out, his friend had shown him this like murder scene and had a nightmare about it. I told his mom that I was going to postpone it, and I did the right thing for me, and it worked. Okay, and he said thank you, and he just gave me a hug, and I trusted my gut, and to this day I always will. I want to thank you for joining, and I'm going to send you another virtual hug because I really do. I miss that, and so I am going to wrap this up by just sending you a virtual hug, and I have a lot of things coming out. Please go to nannyuprise.com because I want you to have the most incredible relationships in your life. And I have a group coaching starting in 1 week. And so I'm not going to tell you much about it. I want you to take the action. And that right there can kick off everything, right? And so if you're here, if you liked it, let me know. I want to hear that you're here. I want to say thank you for supporting me and showing up for me. And that to me is everything. So thank you for having me. And yeah, being that sacred place that I could open up to, right? And share this with you. So if it helps anyone, then it was successful. And I'm proud of myself for sharing this with you and executing it and being the person that I've always wanted to be in front of you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Wow. I have learned so much in this last hour listening to you. And I also just want to thank you for being so vulnerable and open and sharing your process with us and giving us kind of a peek behind the scenes of how you're able to influence with changing outfits and using specific colors. And, I think one of the most really impactful things for me personally that I learned is kind of looking at the ways that we can each sort of tap into our own emotional sort of health and where we're at and kind of look at folks with an understanding of where they're coming from. And I think, for me, one of the things that I really appreciated was the way that you laid out the structure and the way that you utilized the whiteboard. I'm a very visual learner, so I found that so helpful. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to be vulnerable with all of us and to share your incredible insights. And I would really love to encourage everybody to, as soon as we're done here, go head over to nannyuprise.com to learn more about the incredible work that Crystal's doing and to see how you can become involved in some of the cool coaching opportunities that she does. And also check her out on Instagram. I love getting to interact with her there as well. So we are just so grateful for your time and for your insight. Thank you, Crystal.
Yes, thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate you guys. And honestly, I always could use your help on social media and to be a part of something. Thank you again. And please head over to nannyuprise.com, my Instagram, and to become a part of something and to shape something. And I realize I can't do it alone, guys. So join me and celebrate today and rise and fly today. And Amelia Earhart would be proud of all of us. And that is the truth.
Yes, so well said. Well, I think we're going to wrap up with that. So thank you so much again, Crystal. Thank you to everyone who was able to join us here live. And for those of you that are watching, after the fact, we're so grateful for your time. And we look forward to connecting with you more on our Summit Sessions Facebook group, where all of the recordings of each session will be shared and you're able to interact with one another there and keep the conversation going. And I just want to thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. And particularly huge thanks to Crystal. Head over to nannyuprise.com to learn more about their incredible work. And keep your eyes peeled for the next summit session coming up in August. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you all.